Dead and Breakfast is an independent horror comedy from 2004, and this is written and directed by Matthew Leutwyler, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is one of the strangest and most zany independent horror comedy films I've ever seen in my life. One of the best independent films I've ever seen, period. And it's got indie cinema written all over it. It's got passion written all over it. This feels like something of a first project. I don't know if it is Matthew's first project, but it feels like the type of film that would be somebody's, like, debut or something like that. Love the lenticular cover on it as well. Got the original in there too. And this is so much fun. This film is bonkers. This is the type of film that should not work, but it ends up working somehow. In every way. It's got a great cast too. You've got Jeremy Sisto in here. Is it Jeremy Sisto? Yes. Jeremy Sisto, yeah. I recognized him, well, the first film I remember him from is 13, because 13 is one of my favorite films from 2003, but he was also in a film called Waitress. He was also in May, which is one of the best independent horror films ever made. Also from the same kind of era, like 2003-ish. If you haven't seen May, or if you haven't heard of May, just look up May. It's a serious treat. You got Gina Phillips here from the Jeepers Creepers franchise. You've got, I forget his name, the actor, but he's from Kill Bill, playing Bill. So you got him in here playing this bed and breakfast kind of owner guy, Mr. Wise, they call him. But this film it feels like a bunch of skits put together, and it just feels like some goofy Saturday Night Live shit where just a bunch of actors and cinema lovers and cinephiles just got together and decided to put this wacky, goofy project together and just make this ridiculous horror comedy that, I mean, you've got a freaking rockabilly band that's narrating the story. Okay, so throughout the film you get interludes where this rockabilly band is just, strumming and singing and like narrating the story. So instead of a narrator, it is a narrator, but it's a guy singing in a band. And it's absolutely stupid, but it absolutely ends up working somehow, like I said. So basically what we have going on here is we have this group of friends who are traveling to a wedding, and they get lost, basically. The driver is driving this like RV thing. His name is Johnny. He's played by Oz Perkins. So you got Oz Perkins in here too before he directed anything. The son of Anthony Perkins. And I recognized him right away because I swear he looks so much like his father did in Psycho in 1960. They look so identical. He literally looks like Anthony Perkins did in 1960. But he's driving this RV, and he's playing like a quirky character, as you would expect him to play. Like, he's obviously lost, but he keeps track of his directions by like counting roadkill, and he hands one of the characters played by Jeremy Sisto, his name's Christian, hands him a piece of paper, and it literally has like this list of roadkill that you pass by, like squirrel and raccoon and skunk and whatever. So that's how he keeps track of how he's friggin' driving. So complete whack job. They end up in this really small town called Lovelock, and they stop at a gas station, and this is where they meet this rockabilly band. And there's this rockabilly band literally just playing in the middle of the gas station where the pumps are, and they're singing, and then the chick walks up to them and is like, "Hi, we need some directions." And the guy just stops singing, and he keeps telling like these stupid jokes to the girl talking to him. I forget which one it was. I think it's Melody that was talking to him. But she asks for an Airbnb, and he's like, "Well, it depends if you want a 4-star or a 5." And then the symbol guy would be like, every time he mentions a joke, and the conversation will, like, he'll just keep telling stupid ass jokes, and then the symbol guy will do that every time he says something stupid. It's so good. The writing in this, it's like they just threw everything at the wall. Everything. And like, it's like everybody kind of came up with ideas at the same time, either improvised, or people would just be like, it would be really funny if this happened, or it would be really stupid but hilarious if like this person said this or this person said that. There's just little like moments in the film. Like, for example, there's one moment where two of the characters are walking down the road, and then this pickup truck comes by with these two hillbillies on it, and they're like, "You want to buy some deer meat?" And then Melody's like, "No, I'm vegan. I don't eat meat." And she's all like disgusted and stuff. And then the guy's like, "Oh, you don't eat meat? Okay, well, how about some beaver?" The sex jokes are just absolutely through the roof in this bad boy. So they get directions to this Airbnb, and they meet Mr. Wise. There's this French guy working at the Airbnb too, and he's just got this like thick French accent. And one of the guys is outside of the Airbnb, and he takes a piss in a bush, and the French guy's like, how would you like it if I took a piss on your bush? Next time I see your dick in my bush. Fucking, oh my god, I can't even with the writing in this film. I can't even. So they stay in this Airbnb, and everybody's just a weirdo. The Mr. Wise guy, he ends up dying that same night that these kids like check in, kind of thing, or kids. They're freaking in their 20s or whatnot. But Mr. Wise ends up dying, and then during the night, one of the guys named David, he goes to the kitchen and he eats this random blueberry pie that's in the fridge, and he sits at the table. And wait till I start getting into this film, because this film also starts changing like plot in the middle of it. It starts as one thing and then becomes another. It's so fucking stupid, or amazingly dumb, I should say. It's not a stupid movie whatsoever. But the guy's eating the pie in the kitchen, and then his girlfriend, Kate is her name, comes into the kitchen, and she freaks out because there's this body behind him, just against the wall, like pinned to the wall. I forgot to mention the practical effects in this film are glorious, and this film is gore-filled. I don't know if it's like it's just a regular version, so I'm assuming it's unrated. I don't even see a rating back here, but I'm guessing this was just straight to video, completely unrated, and played at festivals only, because I can't see this going through a production company whatsoever, because the gore it's a splatterfest, and the practical effects are just amazing. So there's this dead guy, and he's completely filled with gore, and the guy's eating the pie doesn't even notice the guy behind him, and Kate notices, and then he looks at Kate and he's like, "What?" And then he like turns around and he's just like, "What the fuck?" And then he gets out of the chair, he starts slipping all over the blood, and he's like slipping, falling down, getting back up, slipping back like he's on some fucking ice rink of blood. And no, there's no explanation where this body came from. This body's just in the background. It's never explained in the movie where it came from. So this turns into a murder mystery. You've got Jeffrey Dean Morgan in here. I keep thinking of, like, I keep forgetting the actors and actresses that are in here, like, because there's so many of them. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who was in a bunch of Rob Zombie films, is in here playing a sheriff, and he's the stereotypical small-town sheriff. He's badass. He comes, along not believing a word any of the guys are saying, not taking any of them seriously, kind of thing. And there's this scene where he's interrogating them, and then there's this fishbowl, and he goes to the fishbowl, and he's like, "It's too bad you can't talk. I bet you'd have a hell of a story to tell on what went on over here." He's talking to the fish, right? And then Johnny, played by Oz Perkins, the weirdo, the guy who was driving the RV, he's like, actually, he probably wouldn't be able to, because goldfish only have a brain span of like 3 seconds or something, so he probably doesn't even remember you like walking through the door, kind of thing. So just random goldfish facts from fucking Johnny. The girl Melody is played by Gina Phillips, by the way. Apparently she's like multilingual, so she can speak with the French guy. She starts speaking French to him. There's this deaf gardener that comes out of nowhere, deaf and mute gardener, so she's able to do sign language. The gardener ends up dying pretty quick too, so this turns into a murder mystery and then becomes a slasher. But the murder mystery literally doesn't go anywhere, because there's no explanation on how that motherfucker died and in the kitchen while the guy was eating the pie. And then there's no explanation on who's slashing everybody, because randomly there will be kills, and great kills, by the way. There's this one burning like style kill where this guy has a pair of shears and he's just like stabbing the guy like point of view, or like the camera's on the floor and he's just going like this with a pair of shears. So total throwback to The Burning. I like that little touch. So it becomes a slasher for like 10 minutes. They get a suspect, which is this guy that I forgot to mention back at the gas station with the rockabilly band. Christian, played by Jeremy Sisto, runs into this guy at the gas station, and he like bumps into him, and then he knocks his cigarette down, so he gives him another cigarette, and then he gives him a lighter, and then the guy at the gas station is like, oh, don't worry about it, I don't light them. So this guy just doesn't light his cigarettes, and he just puts them in his mouth, and Jeremy Sisto's like, you don't light them, the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, it's none of your business, isn't it? So he's this like mysterious guy, and this mysterious guy ends up being the witness, I guess, the only kind of witness on who murdered this guy at the bed and breakfast, whatever. I found it hilarious too, with the guy who doesn't light his cigarettes, for two reasons. One, that happens in The Fault in Our Stars, which I always found funny. And two, because I don't smoke, but whenever I'm out at like some bar or something and everybody else is smoking, I will take a cigarette and I will just not inhale it. I'll just like blow the smoke kind of thing. So, and everybody thinks I'm weird for doing that, but I'm not a smoker, so I've never been able to smoke anything. That's why I usually smoke cigars, because cigars you don't inhale at all. I can't do the inhaling thing, and cigarettes just aren't for me. But yeah, I found it funny that the guy's like, I don't light them, I'm so cool, kind of thing. So this guy's mysterious, and he's in the jail cell. He's meditating. He just starts meditating out of nowhere. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character is the sheriff, like throws coffee on his friggin' candle and just acts like a dick. Then we get this whole thing involving this like this box that they find at the Airbnb. So this totally starts to get reminiscent of Evil Dead, and there's this box that is supposed to not be touched. It's like in the attic or something, and I think it's not the guy in the prison, but one of the characters ends up meeting this woman named Lisa Belmont, and she gives this whole history of like this box, and Mr. Wise she found him in the cemetery one night digging up his like buried son or something with this like Oriental guy, like this like Taiwanese monk kind of guy. So that gets really strange with the whole plot thing, and like I said, this film just starts to go completely all over the place. But basically, long story short, there's this box with this, spirit in it, and it's not supposed to be touched, because if the spirit gets loose, then, all havoc will happen. And then here comes the fucking band again, and the guy starts narrating, and he starts singing my favorite song. Well, not my favorite song. There is a better one. But he starts singing, Johnny, stay away from that box. He just starts narrating the whole fucking thing. And he's just like, pretend it's a girl that's under 18. If you touch it, you'll get in trouble, if you know what I mean. How the fuck do you relate to, like, a friggin' cursed box to an underage girl? Like, Johnny, stay away from that box. Don't touch it, Johnny. This film would not be as good as this film is without that fucking hillbilly band. It's magic. So then there's this midsection of the film where the rockabilly band is playing at this concert, at this complete hoedown. Like, David goes with, it's not Kate, but it's, I think he goes with Melody, if I'm not mistaken. He goes with one of the girls, anyway, to this bar. And this bar is just filled with rednecks. And these rednecks are just completely, like, unwelcoming. They don't know their ass from their elbows. They're just completely, like, saying the stupidest shit. Like, one of them is like, yeah, we gotta kill all them Croatians. Motherfuckers, fucking bastards kind of thing, and is just like completely being awkward and David keeps commenting on it like, yeah, I really feel fucking welcome in this place kind of thing. There's this one hillbilly woman with like the most terrible teeth that asks David to dance, and David's like, yeah, no thanks, he's kind of hesitant, and then this guy comes behind him and he's like, how dare you disrespect my sister, you get your ass on the dance floor, and unless you want to square dance with me. And then he goes to the dance floor with this chick, and she has like completely like black and friggin' gray teeth. It's disgusting. And she's like, you want to dance with me? Johnny comes along, and now Johnny is possessed because he touched the box, and he comes into the bar, and Apparently he's a telekinetic zombie, so there's this sheriff with him, and he's able to control what the sheriff does, and he doesn't even move. He just like goes like this to the sheriff, and then the sheriff like turns the gun around and starts shooting everybody at the bar. And then I'm telling you, it turns into the biggest bloodbath friggin' bar fight. It's like Roadhouse, but like Splatterfest. It's like Roadhouse horror style. And I'm telling you, it would be a shorter list to mention what doesn't happen, okay? One guy gets a friggin' drumstick through the eye. One guy gets a cymbal, like one of the cymbals on the drum kit through his head, and it just goes like, cuts half the person's head off. There's just blood splattering everywhere. They have this canister of coyote killer. It's like powder, like rat poison basically, but for coyotes, and it's like coyote poison. And one guy takes it, and he just has this like woman on this table, and he starts pouring it into the woman's mouth, and she's just like, it's just a fucking shit show of like this bar fight, but everybody's just murdering each other, and then everybody starts getting up because it's like they're possessed, but the possession kind of turns them into zombies essentially, and then it becomes a zombie movie. So this goes from a murder mystery to a slasher, and then for the second part of the whole fucking thing, it's a zombie film or possessed film, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then David and the sheriff and everybody run away from the hoedown. And he's like, everybody was just fucking murdering each other and then getting back up. And then everybody was just fucking everybody up. And they go back to the Airbnb. And then literally the second part of the movie is basically Night of the Living Dead. Where they're holding off this crew of zombies led by Johnny. Johnny's the leader now because he opened the box. And he like turned everybody. So these zombies, they can talk. And I keep calling them zombies for lack of a better purpose because they're really possessed people, but David makes a comment too. He's like, whatever they are, heads off, that's all that matters. Fucking guy. So they end up creating this shotgun kind of thing. Actually, one of the girls does, by taking this pipe and then basically putting gunpowder in it and screwing like a metal piece at one end of it and putting a bullet inside or something like that, or some kind of metal thing. And then she like smacks it with a hammer and it ends up blasting like a shotgun kind of thing. So David uses that to wean off the zombies kind of thing. How dare I forget to mention, by the way, this music number that happens before the zombies come to, invade everybody in the house. So this rockabilly band just all of a sudden starts going hip hop, okay? And they have this song. It's like, we're coming to kill you, we're coming to kill you, coming to kill you, we're coming to kill you, coming to kill you, coming to kill you. And then the zombies start doing a Michael Jackson dance, like Thriller style. Like we're talking like the whole thing. And they're like doing this whole line dance in front of the house, and then they start going back to the rockabilly music and narrating everything. This film is so freaking geniusly stupid. This film should not work, but it works on every cylinder. Congratulations on Matthew Leutwyler. If he did this all by himself without anybody else giving him ideas, props on that guy, because he just like made an entire film filled with the stupidest skits and just made it work like a charm. And Oz Perkins as the leader of the zombie playing Johnny is just perfect. He looks like his father. Like literally, he looks like a zombified version of his dad in Psycho from 1960. It's crazy. And then one of the characters at one point is like, this is like a bad horror movie. So completely perfect pun at the completely perfect time. Essentially, they have to dig, the lore goes where they have to dig up Mr. Wise's body because Mr. Wise ended up dying, like I said. So they have to dig up his body, they have to use his bones, they have to sharpen his bones to use them as like weapons essentially. And that just goes for some more like gore-filled fucking mayhem. I can't get over the Michael Jackson dance, by the way, like that, we're coming to kill you, we're coming to kill you. And like I said, the friggin' Stay Away from the Box is my second favorite song, but I have to give it to the fucking we're coming to kill you thing. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character mentions at one point this cow chip throwing contest. I've never been in a small town. I don't know if cow chip throwing contests exist. I don't even know what the hell cow chips are. or if you can throw them, so that's news to me. There is a head decapitation. Well, not decapitation, it's blown off. There's this preacher character that walks around like with a sign that says the end is near throughout the film, so he's a running joke. And then he comes to the door of this Airbnb, and they shoot him, and it's just the best practical effect with his head just blowing up and like literally like going like half backwards. It's just freaking awesome. There's this chainsaw kill, David's death, where he gets the chainsaw stuck like kind of on the back of his neck, and it's just revving, and he's just trying to like shake it off, and he's just going all over the place, and there's just absolute blood splatter. If you're squeamish, the gore in this film is absolutely done for comedic purposes and comedic effect, but Jesus Christ, is there buckets of gore in this thing. I freaking love it. And I like the zombie aspect of this film a lot more than like the murder mystery slasher thing. And it's just funny how none of that was explained at all. It happened, and then we're moving on to zombies now. You know, possessed, but whatever. And yeah, basically they just fight off this horde of zombies until they win, and there's only a few survivors left, and that's the movie. I mean, wow. I took a lot of notes down, but like I said, this film is just a series of like skits, essentially, and they're kind of just pieced together. When Johnny shows up, oh my god, I forgot to mention the scene at the hoedown too. Johnny decapitates Christian, and then he holds Christian's head up. It's so hilarious, and he starts playing it like a puppet, and he's like, I think Christian has something to say to everybody. What do you have to say, Christian? I think we should shut the fuck up. He's literally using the head to talk, and he's like, what should we say? And then he's just like tells the head to shut the fuck up. So like, what was the point? Hilarity. That's what the point is. That's what the point is. Hilarity and stupidity that just ends up working on every level. So yeah, it's just a wicked fun movie. I think I covered everything I wrote down because, man, it's just one thing after the other after the other. This is not a film with a very complicated plot, other than it bouncing around all the fucking time. And changing friggin' like styles, but it's just hilarity ensues at every moment, and the script is great. Like, everybody's so funny, all the characters are great. I love the cast. Like, you just gotta you gotta give it to the cast, man. It's just one of those scripts too, like, it's just so hilarious where it seems like everybody threw in their own ideas and kind of, I don't know, it feels like everybody, like, they went along, like, they wrote it as they went along kind of thing, in a way. And maybe that didn't happen, I have no clue, but it feels that way because there's so many ideas thrown at the wall, and they take everything. They don't even see what sticks. Everything that sticks, they take. Everything that falls to the floor, they take. And they just throw it into this wild concoction of a friggin' hilarity of a film. And I just love it. And it feels so independent. And I have so much respect for independent cinema. I just live for independent cinema, and I love my horror comedies. Ain't It Cool News says this is the US answer to Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if I agree with that a whole 100%. But it does say that Rue Morgue, anyway, says this is the best independent horror movie of the year, meaning 2004. I couldn't agree more. I could say that this is the best. For Rue Morgue especially, I don't know about, period, but if Rue Morgue magazine calls this the best horror comedy or whatever, the best independent horror movie of 2004, I would not disagree with them on that whatsoever. If you haven't seen this movie and you like horror comedies and independent cinema, this is not one to miss. I just friggin' love this film so much. But yeah, that's really all I got on Dead and Breakfast. It's a gem. It's an absolute gem. From 2004. It doesn't feel like 2004. It feels a little bit more modern than that. But yeah, it's a really, really cool film. So that's all I got on that. That's what I have for you folks for now. We're almost at Christmas time, so we're going to have some Christmas reviews coming up. But until then, subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.